Welcome to the freewheeling cavalcade of circular motion, thus defined by the octagon table of double-wide mental introspection and dedicated utilitarian outward thinking in defense of zero content. Translation: we ain't got nothing. Oh, hey folks, dude here. Coming in again, the narration of Dude After Dark. Excuse me, your wife is now asking me if I want to have food. Let's try that one. Yeah, she's out getting food and she's asking me what I wanted to eat. So in that regard, I'm going to respond thusly and say, "Feed me." Oh man. So anyway, wait shape forward. What you're looking at here, you got ourselves another iteration of Dude After Dark, good stuff like that there. And looking at things as it is, oh my stars and garters. Wow, things are just completely flipping bonkers. How crazy are they? Sound guy. I don't know if it's that sound guy. No, it's not ka, okay? And it's not. Sure. Dude, you're off the rails today, okay? You're really like right. Okay, you give sound guy a week off and
Come on, squeal.
Don't want to come.
I'm coming.
Okay, apparently she's having a really good time. Yeah, Mrs. Dude's hitting me up yet again. Oh, definitely that one, not the other. Have to respond thusly with the food and good stuff like that there. Anyway, it has been a fairly crazy news week. It has been. No, he's not even involved, okay? But it has been a week involved in. Oh yeah, deep, stinky, hairy, nasty, yucky, step in it and get pissed off. Okay, that sounded more like you stepped in it than the previous, you're dealing with. Okay, well, anyway, looking at things as it is, we're going to be finding ourselves in the news and picking through the news stuff. And sound guy, stop. Sound guy. Sound guy. Sound guy. Okay, I don't know what any of that had to do with the I got it decoded. I know what he was trying to say. He was trying to say there's a lot of crap flowing downhill, and oh man, is it sound guy. Okay, he was trying to say there was a lot of crap flowing downhill. Sound guy. Okay, there was a lot of stuff going on, and swish. Anyway, so anyway, way, shape, and form which we find ourselves. Sound guy. Yeah, I know. There's a lot to be aware of in the news. Okay, he's trying to say there's a lot of crap going on. Pay attention. I think that's how I'm decoding this correctly, sound guy. Hopefully that was sound guy. No. Okay, I know, I got that part. All right, thanks. All right, you didn't need to fully elaborate with all the rest of the just
Uh-oh, retard alert. Retard alert, class.
sure. Okay. Anyway, sound guy being sound guy, he's proceeding to insert. I don't even know what kind of thinking on top of what other kind of type of thinking, but let's just say it's definitely sound guy. No, stop. Okay, we're not even going to go into that because you trying to elaborate a stream of consciousness is just
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
sure. Okay, folks, you got to understand. Sometimes getting into a deep philosophical conversation with sound guy is a perpetuated, nuanced, frustration-ridden, just kaleidoscope of ah! That's not the easiest way to describe it non-verbally, okay? Oh my stars and garters. Can we just get into the news, please, sound guy? Maybe? He can't even make a standard sentence. He has to put something on it. All right, anyway. Sound guy. No. Okay, can we get into the news, please? Please. Sure. Whatever that was. Oh, now you're bored with things. All right, let's get into the news, shall we? I'm not going to get into too terribly deeply, but that disgusting social thing that Trump brought about with the debate about, the group of people. I'm not going to get into identifying any groups of people. I'm simply going to say the group of people who are identified as eating pets and wild animals. Oh, my stars and garters. It has been something that has so taken the wind out of the sails of the lamestream media. They don't know how to respond. All they know is right now that they're simply trying to make the best of it by trying to disparage and say that, well, Donald Trump didn't know what the heck he was talking about. And these groups of people that are apparently doing these things, wow. I cannot even begin to tell you how crazy some of that stuff is because, oh, yeah, it is actually based in reality. Holy crap. That's all I got to say on that one is just holy crap. And that's not even like a Chinese guy. That is just holy crap. Oh, my stars and garters. That is just ridiculously, unbelievably stepping into the realm of absolute craziness. And then way, shape, and form in which we find ourselves in that reality, we then have to, well, obviously in the lamestream news media, we have to pick out the parts that are actually truthful and politically nuanced and obviously going to be completely off the rails with their own template and line of thinking. Wow. That's all I got to say on that one is just wow. Patriot Fever in the room. Appreciate you hanging out, dude. Patriot reporting lost the oh no. Oh, that first comment I'm not getting into. Oh, yes, she did. Well, you do realize if we had shot bobcat instead of turkey when those guys came over from the Mayflower, we all would be eating cat. Try to keep this PG-13 ish. Yeah, but we all would be eating cat, and of that you could say appropriately, the appropriate sound effect to know that of which we are speaking of, and it is going to be we'd all be eating pea. Yes, and we wouldn't be dealing with Mr. Turkey. We'd just be dealing with I don't think that cat wanted to go into the fryer. Wow. Okay, enough on edibilizing or utilizing for food stuff, Mister or Mrs. Or maybe okay. In any case, don't do it. Okay, there's some things in this country that we kind of take a dim view of, and we kind of like our critters. Okay, those are not to be utilized as well, you know, one of those things. Okay, enough with the cat, Mister Sound Guy. Are you done? This has been like 10 minutes of nothing but Sound Guy riffing through the entire catalog, going, I can throw this in there, and I can throw that in there, I can throw these other things in there, and intersperse it with a bunch of insanity. And oh, my stars and garters. So, anyway, 10 minutes in, he's been riffing the entire sound catalog. Anyway, Sound Guy, would you please stop? Okay, just stop. All right.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Munders.
I do not have a case of the Monday. This is Tuesday. Stop that. Stop. Okay. This is probably going to be his entire show riff. Is just playing. He gets in a groove, and that's just what he does. Jeez, Pedro Fever. I'm not taking that last one out the chat room either. Oh wow. Anyway, so basically they're saying it is true. These things are going on, and oh yeah. I do have one thing I do wish to take out of the presidential debate that I thought was unbelievably just showing such hypocrisy and showing complete and total short-sightedness on the person that was feeding her their information. More on that one later. But she said this specifically during the debate. One of the most important international rules is the importance of sovereignty and territory integrity. As the borders are here, don't you think that might just be a factor? Possibly closing the southern border and not allowing in tons of people who really aren't supposed to be here because they haven't gone through the process. They're not citizens. They're not in the realm of going in the entire process of attaining citizenship, or they're not here as people who have been cleared and actually have access here because they're now designated and approved workers. Kind of borders on the realm of unbelievably short-sighted and tangentially thinking along the lines of, I'm just simply going to do it this way, and other countries have to maintain this, but just not here because it's not politically expedient. Yeah, so the importance of sovereignty and territory integrity. Yeah. And that was she was speaking on Ukraine. Most important international rules is the importance of sovereignty and territory integrity. So I guess it only means something if you're trying to piss off Putin and screw with the Russians. Now, I'm going to be completely honest here in my personal opinion of what's going on in Ukraine. Number one, we made it happen. Number two, NATO made it happen. Number three, Europe really made it happen. If they simply stopped sticking stuff on the border of Russia, Putin wouldn't have been in the mindset of, okay, now I have to push back and show these assholes I'm not playing. Don't run this stuff up alongside my border because I ain't digging on it. And that's exactly what had happened is if Russia, had stuck missiles in Cuba again, we would have had a major issue with it. That's 90 miles off our southern border of the tip of Florida. Now, folks, I've actually been around Cuba twice. Literally been around Cuba twice because I literally have gone east and I've gone west, both sides of the Gulf area of the Caribbean. And I've been from Mexico and I've gone all the way east. All the way east to Puerto Rico and St. Martin's. I didn't go deeper into the Caribbean with all the islands and all the rest of that stuff. But those island chain, I'd actually gone past Cuba or around Cuba twice. One of the instances I thought was hilarious on one of the cruise vacations that Mrs. Dude and I took is we're cruising along, and there's an island offshore, and not too terribly close, not too terribly far, probably about maybe 20 miles away, but easily visible. And Mrs. Dude's like, dum, 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 and I'm like, hey, Mrs. Dude, check this out. She's like, what's that? And I was like, you know what that is? Because I actually happened to have my Garmin running at the time. I was like, you know what that is over there? She goes, what? It's like, that's Cuba. She's like, no way. It's like, yeah, that's the north side of Cuba, literally, that we're passing right now. So literally, we went past the thing a couple times, obviously going past it, going out from Florida, going back into Florida. Actually, I might have passed it 4 times. So going out, coming back, going out, coming back, going out, coming back, going out, coming back. I've done 2 cruises out of Florida. But yeah, she was like, oh, that's Cuba. It's like, yeah, that's Cuba. Doesn't look that much different from afar. There's all these other decent little island nations, but yeah, that's 90 miles away from Florida. Now, the running joke with the U.S. military and, of course, the surveillance services is they know when the garage door opens on the hangars in Cuba. Not to say that Cuba really has much of an air force anymore, but because they are still a charity of the Russian alliance or whatever they should call themselves nowadays, but because they're in charity of Russia, they get some hand-me-downs. Now, I don't know if they're getting like the hot ass MiGs or anything, rocket goodie like that, but they do tend to get some stuff. I would tend to think they also get some stuff that might make us just a little worried away from 90 miles away, because in the realm of distance travel, a jet moving along at about 1,200 miles an hour, 90 miles ain't spit. It's going to be here like really fast, say like about 5-15 minutes max. Anyway, so way, shape, and form, which we find ourselves, that's why Putin is pissed. It's a case of he has seen, excuse me, I got something popping up on my phone here. The thing about it is he is pissed because they're putting all this stuff on his border. Now, if I was Putin and I was in Russia and NATO, us, Europe, call what you will, was sticking offensive stuff on the border, I'd push back. And the other thing, too, is also there's a long history between Russia and Ukraine and who's pissing on who the most, the longest. And it's really, really bad history for the Ukrainians. It really, really is. So the thing about it is I see this whole Ukrainian thing as Putin saying, knock it the F chuck off. I'm not playing with you guys. Stop parking this crap off my border. I don't like it. Now, the other thing, too, is also now that Ukraine has invaded into Kursk, that is actually now a major territorial thing. And then, of course, they're like, well, we'll just send longer range missiles to Ukraine. Can you possibly pour more gasoline on the Chernobyl-style fire? Not needed, okay? What really needs to have happen is, like Trump said during the debate, it's like, well, who do you want to win the war? He goes, I want the war to end, okay? I don't want people to die. That's the correct answer. Not, I'm siding with these guys, or I'm siding with these guys, or these guys are better than these guys, or these guys I don't like these guys, and all the rest of this happy horse stuff that seems to be going back and forth. They want the war to end. Or at least Trump wants the war to end. Unfortunately, those guys who are in the DNC seem to think it's absolutely fine to support the military-industrial complex and keep this thing going and going and going. Needless to say, the part that they don't talk about in this country, and they really truly seem to admit in our standard military line of thinking, is those munitions that we would be using, those munitions that we'd want to have stockpiled, those munitions that obviously we don't want to get too old or they stop being usable because you have to turn them over every so often because stuff gets old and untrustworthy. So that stuff that we are currently making and shipping over to Ukraine to keep pissing and moaning with the Russians is stuff that we don't have in stockpile, and it's stuff that we don't currently have in our inventory as a just in case. Also, never mind the fact that how much equipment do we actually happen to leave over in, Afghanistan? That equipment should have been cleaned up, sterilized. I forget what the process is, but basically they steam clean the entire thing so no bougies, nasties, or other critters come back to this country. They bring the stuff back, it gets rehabbed, it goes back into inventory, or it gets looked at and said, it's worn out, it's trash, scrap it. Half that stuff that was probably over there was decent stuff. No matter how much the military said, scrap it, break it, pull out the hard drives on the computers, there's still stuff that was actually good to go. And what do? We gave that to the guys who have been pissing and moaning with us before 9/11. Excuse me 1 second here. I got Tiggy juice. So that's something else entirely that they really truly haven't gotten into in this country, is the fact that we are so displacing all these munitions and stuff that we should be utilizing for our defense is now going over and propping up a war, which potentially could go into something really wicked where you take the genie out the bottle and it's hard to stuff it back in because, like I've discussed with other people, if it ever gets nuclear, everybody and their brother's cousin goes, well, I got one too. Beep. They hit the button, they send off their crap. Now, it's not like the good old days where you go, okay, this is the 1950s. You basically duck and cover. Place will be screwed up for 10, 15 years, but things will improve. There is no recovery from the current levels of nuclear weapons on this planet. There is no recovery. There is no way to shape or form a planet after you've done such destruction levels of high radiation yield of putting all that crap into the atmosphere. You don't want to know what the simulations even look like. Let's just say it's not good. And that's making a light of it. So truly, we need to stop jerking this guy around and maybe find the noteworthy solution to go, okay, enough people on both sides have died because the Russians already have lost over 300,000 people. I can't remember what the casualty count is on the Ukrainian side. It's huge, okay? Let's just say charitably over 500,000 people have died, if not closer, maybe to like 1 million. And this is all to basically maybe wear down Putin. Well, Putin's not getting worn down. He's old school KGB, GRU, guy who worked on East Berlin on the wall as a high-ranking commander and also intelligence guy. He's not somebody that's going to go, you know what? Yeah, I've killed enough of my own guys and enough of the Ukrainians have died. Let's just find a peaceful solution. That's not how he rolls. He simply goes, that didn't work. I'm going to go to the next level. Okay, I'm going to go to the next level. I'm going to go to the next level. Okay, I'm tired of playing with you. Stuff just got really serious. However, there is also that way, shape, and form that you have to remember is that genie out the bottle component. And I'm sure even Putin is going, yeah, if I even think of pushing that button, everybody else is going to push the button. I'm slagged. No matter where I live, I'm slagged. Yeah, I'll be living in the great underground, survival thing along with a bunch of other guys and, potentially some concubines and other whatever good-evers. But it's not going to be a charitably enjoyable existence in the underground, whatever that they have in, don't even think about their stand in deepest, darkest Nowhereville. The idea of living in a survival shelter for an extended period, waiting for the rest of the world to, air quotes, cool off, you don't get back out of the thing, okay? Cat scratching on stuff. Once you go into that tunnel, you're there. And that's the other thing, too. Putin is not the youngster that he used to be. He's like 70-some-odd years old. Once he goes down there, he knows he's in the box for good. It's his tomb. It's his tomb. And there is no potential winner in the absolute, mutually assured destruction. There is no winners. Scrolly. This one I found absolutely hilarious. There was a video that was being played, and it was Willie Brown and, of course, Kamala. I'm not going to play the video, but it's on Facebook. And somebody walks up to him and is like, oh, hey, how you doing, Mr. Brown? Is that your daughter? No, it was Kamala. Yeah, so he was definitely having a little too much fun with somebody a bit younger than him. Excuse me 1 second. Scrolly. Way more memes than I could shake a stick at's going on right now. It is absolutely hilarious. Uh, in commemoration of 9/11, which I absolutely abhor as a native born New Yorker. I absolutely abhor 9/11. The only thing I could say is in remembrance, hopefully there's charity to be found for the victims on all sides. That's all I have to say on that one. Let's see. Scrolly. Uh, this one I found unbelievably interesting. And I actually had to post this story up from no less than three different sources because Facebook kept pulling it down, saying, "Oh no, it's fake. It's not real. It's not good. It's bad." However, it's now come out that during the presidential debate, that Kamala Harris was wearing quote unquote air quotes, absolutely air quotes, pearl earrings that were earpieces. That's why she was so glib, so on point, so absolutely just erudite and just spitting out tons of information, is because she was being fed the information in her ears. Now, I was discussing this with a buddy of mine. He was like, "Oh, yeah, people are talking about like there was quote unquote interference in like, the mics, like something sounded a little sketch." Well, yeah, it's because her stuff is going and talking to whatever it was who was talking to her and sending a back and forth signal via Bluetooth. I don't use Bluetooth earbuds for one very simple reason is I don't want 200 milliwatts cooking through my brain on both sides. Most of the time I'm using a phone, it's on speaker. It's at least a foot and a half away from me most of the time. You get my personal vehicle when I'm doing Uber, I run speaker, okay? I don't use earbuds. I run speaker when I talk to people. The phone is in front of me at least a foot and a half. It is on the dashboard. I don't put it right next to me. The closest thing to me actually is I have a second phone that is to my right that is running Spotify, Bluetooth off. So it's one phone is slaved off the other phone. So I run a two phone situation because some stuff I do with this, some stuff I do with that. There is no interchange between the two. If I take this one off of Bluetooth, you're not going to get in here and snoop around because it literally is off the grid. So Scrolls goes to Scrolly. So she was running those Bluetooth earbuds and getting really fed good information. I don't know if you guys heard about it or not or saw it, but oh, my stars and garters, the picture of Joe Kaka wearing a Trump hat. Oh, wow. I cannot do this justice, folks. This was unbelievably hilarious, but supposedly he attended this thing with a bunch of firemen and he was wearing a hat and somebody was like flashing him out a Trump hat and he's like, "Oh, what's that?" And he's like, "Oh, what's with the Trump hat?" And they're like, "Put it on." He's like, "Okay." So he put that hat on top of another hat. And there's pictures of him that'll now be locked into perpetuity on the interwebs and everywhere else of Joe Kaka wearing a Trump hat. Wow. Patriot Fever, got to be careful watching that stuff. I might need to go to confession. Well, I'm not a Catholic, okay? It doesn't work like that. Being a Jew, we get a few perks. We got a few perks. Let's see. Scrolly. I cannot begin to tell you how much this cracked me up. And I got to play the audio on this one. Oh, my stars and garters. Eric Swalwell, who looks like he's reading something from a script. I cannot begin to tell you how much this cracked me up. This was hilarious. So what happened is that there was a picture posted up by the hang on a second here. I got to blow this up so I can actually see what the picture says. Let's see. It was from the House Judiciary GOP, and it's a picture of Donald Trump holding a duck and a kitten, basically about chest deep in water. The cat is on his arm, the duck is in the water, and the picture says, "Protect our ducks and kittens in Ohio." And needless to say, Eric Swalwell is losing his collective stuff. I cannot do this justice. I go straight to the video. Reading the script. Reading the script. Doing a face palm. reading the script. Face palm again, reading the script, reading the script, reading the script, reading the script, reading the script. Yeah, he was like, "Oh wow, how could you possibly this, that, and the other thing with this really fake kind of, oh my goodness, how could you do these things? This is so bad for these aliens. They're people too. Blah 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 blah." I cannot do it justice, folks. The video itself was, I showed it to my wife, and she's like looking at it, going, it's like, look at him. He's reading a script, and she's like, oh yeah, this is so beyond fake. It's like, right, right. It's this false outrage, fake chicanery, theater in these elected houses. Swalwell, you, sir, are a turd. A big, stinking, hairy, nasty turd. What a fake piece of sound guy. How would I say it correctly here? What would he actually be part of? Yeah, 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 yeah. He's just, yeah. It is big, stinking, hairy, nasty. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, just nasty, stinky pile of, yeah, yeah, just, just, yeah. You get that last little one in there. All right. Anyway, so Swalwell was so deeply offended. The memes and the AI generated video of Trump running away from a group of, let's just say generic people of color, and he's carrying a couple of cats. The AI generated videos like that had me in tears. Beyond funny. This I find unbelievably reality check that this guy said these things. So this guy literally was a former bad guy on the other side of the aisle. Read like, like the guys who are pretty much like 9/11 guys, middle Eastern, shall we say. But this guy spells it out unbelievably clearly for all involved. This guy truly says it all. Yeah, that guy spells it out perfectly why they support the Democrat Party. Unbelievable. This one I find completely, absolutely on point, awesome, and ridiculously notable. Actually, amazingly, I got it on the Facebook without them going, oh, no, it needs to be fact checked because you put something on here that we didn't like, and we think, well, in a perpetuity, we're going to have to twist it up and put our own sling on it because this is something that doesn't look good for our guy. So here's 25 lies that Kamala Harris told in her debate against Donald Trump. Number one, middle-class kid. She claims she was a middle-class kid. That's not true. Previously noted by journalist Megyn Kelly, Harris's father was a professor at Stanford University. Her mother was a biomedical scientist at UC Berkeley. Trump's tax cuts. Harris falsely instituted the 2017 tax cuts approved by the Trump administration disproportionately benefited Americans, billionaires, and corporations. That is not true. Data produced by the IRS had shown that on average, all income brackets benefited substantially from the Republicans' tax reform law, with the biggest beneficiaries being working and middle-class filers, not the top 1%, according to Justin Haskins, according to The Hill. So the Trump sales tax. Harris claimed Trump would implement a sales tax. Trump has not pledged to do such a thing if he's elected president. January 6th, she contended that January 6th, the riot in the U.S. Capitol was the worst attack on democracy since the Civil War. She doesn't know history. Contrary to Harris's claim, the J6 events did not put American self-governance in jeopardy, nor did it expose Americans to risk like those experienced during World War I, Japanese attacks on Pearl Harbor, or World War II, to name a few. Project 2025. Harris claimed Trump will implement Project 2025 if elected. Trump has repeatedly said he has nothing whatsoever to do with Project 2025. On restoring Roe versus Wade, Harris ducked the questions, claiming that she'd absolutely support the reinstating the protections of Roe versus Wade. Moments before that, Harris pledged to sign legislation ill-named Women's Health Protection Act, which would codify abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy. In addition to her history of co-sponsoring the original version of that legislation, Harris also voted against protections on babies born alive after botched abortions. Pro-life criminal miscarriages, ectopic pregnancies. Several states had Trump abortion bans, make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care, blah, 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 blah. He's not going to do that. So said Trump would sign a national abortion ban. He's already said he would never do anything like that. 9 months abortions don't exist. Yeah, right. Border bill. Harris claimed the congressional border bill proposed earlier this year would have stemmed illegal immigration and fentanyl at the U.S. southern border. The statement is categorically false. The bipartisan measure would have enshrined existing invasion in the federal law. SCOTUS immunity ruling. She mischaracterized the Supreme Court ruling on presidential immunity, claiming the decision would mean that Trump would essentially be immune from any misconduct if ever in the White House ever again. The claim is misleading at best. Basically, what it says is the absolute immunity for actions in conclusive congressional authority, at least presumptive immunity for official acts, and separately noted, there's no immunity for unofficial acts. Nice try. The fracking ban, I will not ban fracking. Then she said she will ban fracking. Then the 2020 presidential nomination said there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. The Minnesota Rioters Bail Fund, she basically did that. Trump's role in January 6th deaths. The whole thing about fine people on both sides. No, he said essentially, I want you to assemble peaceably, and if you're asked to leave, leave. But there's fine people on all sides. No, Trump said he was referring to both sides of the debate as whether to allow historic monuments to remain standing. Harris regurgitated the false narrative that Trump claimed that there would be a bloodbath if his losses are in November. Vice President took Trump out of context. 45th president is not calling for violence, but said he's discussing the economic disaster that awaits Americans if Democrats win the election. Trump's NATO comments, enough on that one. Autocrats' president's preferences for president, enough there. Combat zones, enough there. Blaming Trump for Biden's botched Afghanistan withdrawal. He didn't do the withdrawal, you dumbass. You did. Gun confiscation. Harris claims she does not support mandatory gun confiscation. That's false. She openly expressed support for such a policy. However, she's codified it and maintained that she's not going to do a mandatory gun confiscation. She says she's going to do a mandatory gun buyback. Good luck. Good luck. Falsifying Trump's foreign policy record, defunding the police, the whole thing about IVF. Yeah, the abortion ban would affect IVF. That's two separate things, you silly ass. She is truly. Oh, no, Patriot Fever. Oh. I'm going to have to ding on that one. Yeah. You see it in the room. That is, I'm not going to take that one out of the room, Patriot Fever, but damn. Concerning Swalwell. Wow. He's a font of comedy gold, folks. You really got to check out the chat room sometimes. Excuse me 1 second. Like I said, I'm trying to keep it PG-13-ish. Yeah, PG-13-ish. Some stuff I just can't take out of the room, but dang. So supposedly Trump said there's not going to be a third debate. Trump wants a Kamala match because she knows he lost. Probably showed people trusted her less after the debate. She never told policy and used it as an opportunity to rehash all the DNC-generated mud thrown at Donald John Trump. So that one's coming in from Breitbart.com. This is unbelievably epic, and I cannot do this one justice. Let me sound guy. I got this one. Let me take a snoop here. I think I might have this one, but let me see if I can't do this one appropriately. Okay, well, no, yeah, okay, yeah, I got it. Judge coming from Breitbart, judge dismisses 2 counts against Trump in Georgia. Fani Willis lacked the authority. That's right. So anyway, coming in Fulton County, Georgia, Judge Scott McAfee, no relation, dismissed 2 of the counts against former President Donald Trump in a RICO prosecution there, ruling that District Attorney Fani Willis lacked the standing to bring the charges against him. So Reuters reported Fulton County Judge Scott McAfee found that state prosecutors did not have the authority to bring those charges, which related to alleged filing of false documents in federal court. McAfee allowed the remainder of the case to move forward, including 8 charges against Trump. Trump and 14 co-defendants have pleaded not guilty to racketeering other charges stemming from the prosecutors alleged a scheme to overturn Trump's narrow defeat in Georgia in the 2020 election. The ruling means that the 5 original 13 criminal counts against Trump in the indictment obtained last year have now been tossed out. McAfee in March dismissed 6 other counts, including 3 against Trump. So in other words, this judge is on a tear to go, no, Thor's hammer, you will not do these things that are unjust or unworthy. Fani got slapped in the fanny. Good times. So supposedly this one's coming in very, very interesting. I got to say simply mazel tov to the IDF. They are kicking ass as usual. And I got another additional story from the Israelis. And oh, wow, this is warfare you've never seen before. So anyway, coming from Breitbart, Israel wins the Battle of Rafah, which Kamala told it not to fight. Yeah. So the Israeli Defense Force declared victory on Thursday in the Battle of Rafah, having destroyed Hamas's 4 battalions there over the course of 4 months. It was a battle that Vice President Kamala Harris, Democrat Party nominee to U.S. President, told Israel not to fight, warned the consequences for civilians there, and even threatening to withhold U.S. weapons. Quote, I have studied the maps, end quote, Harris said. Declare it's impossible to attack Rafah without hurting civilians. Okay, I'm going to say this right off the bat. Anybody that knows anything about the way the IDF fights, they are possibly the most humane, the most charitable, and the most deferential fighting force on the flipping planet, okay? Let's bring this out real simple and easy here. If they wanted to simply just, completely flatten Gaza, it would have been done already. They have an air force. They have more than enough ships to park offshore and keep lobbing stuff into the place. They can literally flatten Gaza and wipe out 90% of the population if that was their cause celeb. They don't do that. The problem is that Hamas, Hezbollah, all these other dirtbags, they seem to go, well, we're going to lose our asses because we just dicked with a superior fighting force. I know. We'll surround ourselves by women and children. That way they won't try to kill us. Yeah, that's right. Kill. They won't try to zap us off the planet because we're pieces of crap. Well, the Israelis tend to fight a little bit smarter than that. And what they do is they literally find a group of these guys in a certain room of the house, identify that room, blow that room up. And if there's any minor collateral damage or any innocents that get killed, they try to keep that to an absolute minimum. Other places don't fight like that. So Kamala, right off the bat, you are speaking out your back end, as usual. Israeli Defense Forces defeated Hamas's Rafah Brigade. The military declared on Thursday after 4 months of targeted raids in areas of the Gaza Strip's southernmost city near the border with Egypt, which is a major trafficking area. And if you ever hear them talking about the Philadelphia corridor, that's the place. Since the start of the Rafah operation on May 6th, troops have killed more than 2,000 Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorists and destroyed some 8 miles of underground smuggling and attack routes, according to Israeli army statements on Thursday evening. The Rafah Brigade and 4 battalions, Yavna South, East Rafah, Tal F. Sultan West, and Sabura North were the terrorist group's final functioning brigade, according to the past Israeli military assessments. So these guys still don't have the slightest idea of what they did by kicking the hornet's nest over, by killing 12 or 1,400, I forget what the exact number is, because there's still hostages alive, and these guys go, oh no, dirtbag time. We're going to get captured. Kill ILL, the hostages, before we get caught. And the Israelis have even told him, look, here's the deal. If you do something to them, we're going to do the same thing to you. You will not survive the encounter. And I guarantee you, by the time we're done, most of your buddies, if not all your buddies, are going to join you doing the whatever it is that you do after you've done these things here on this planet. Scrolly. So anyway, like I said, the whole thing about like Kamala. So confirmed. This is one of those ones they tried to pull and tried to hide, but there was a link on X, formerly Twitter. So confirmed, the company who made her earpiece confirmed it is their stuff. And further, the wireless audio earring company responds to rumors Kamala Harris wore an earpiece during the presidential debate. So lying-ass Facebook kept pulling the story down since it makes Kamala look worse. Yeah, absolutely. And they actually tried to play that game, and I reposted it up, changing it only slightly. And then what I did was I outed Facebook by showing that screen that they did. We removed your post. Hang on a second. Let me open this up in another picture so I can see what I'm doing here. We removed your post. I said, confirmed the company made an earpiece, confirms their stuff. The German-based company responded to a request and a comment from Just the News. So we removed your post, but they didn't say why they removed the post. They just said, we removed your post. And then I reposted it and I outed them and they were like, oh, snap. Yeah, that doesn't work so good. Perhaps we should stop doing that. Yeah. So the whole thing about like the earpiece and all the rest of her being fed information did not work out in her favor. Coming in from Breitbart yet again, Reuters focus group. Undecided voters are now leaning towards Trump 2-1 after the debate. Folks, fake information, constant lies, ABC carrying her water did not work out for them at all. So one of my favorite memes I've seen so far is I don't need a debate. I've had 3.5 years to make up my mind. Oh, man. Cannot do that justice. Scrolly. So now it's even come out that there's now an ABC whistleblower, and there's been now conjecture and stories like that person, supposedly died in a car crash. I can't confirm or deny that information, but supposedly now there's now a whistleblower who said Harris had the questions before the debate. That coming in from truthpress.com. So anybody who watched the presidential debate hosted by ABC on Tuesday knows that the moderators were biased and reported repeatedly fact-checking Trump while letting Kamala lies go unchallenged. Expected that to happen with the bias and conflicts of interest of the moderators, and the network as a whole was well established. However, there's reports that now that ABC News whistleblowers are about to come forward with evidence that Kamala was given sample questions before the debate. Now, a sample question is the same thing as a question. Unbelievable. So anyway, the POS who took, opportunity to try to pop rounds off of Trump down in Florida, this guy was a felon who was barred from owning a gun. The gun he had, the serial number was obscured. Now, if you guys know anything about firearms, and I kind of know a little bit about them because I've actually sold them and machine guns and all the rest of that fun stuff. Anyway, so if you have a firearm, and the firearm was made back in the day, like 22s and shotguns and some other weapons were made back in the day without serial numbers, that's legal. That's completely legal. Some states will actually say, yeah, you know what? We want to have identification numbers on there. Take it over to a gunsmith, have identification numbers put into it. And they will actually ask the weapon to be modified in such a way. However, if the weapon was modified originally as not modified and it was made without a serial number, it doesn't need a serial number. However, after the 1968 Gun Control Act, after RFK was unbelievably taken down by whatever means of alien technology, guy in the front, rounds in the back. I'm not even going to get into that, but RFK Jr. really needs to open that case again. Anyway, so way, shape, and form, which we find ourselves, the GCA of 1968 came about, which is the Gun Control Act. And it stated every firearm sold in the United States has to have a serial number on it for the terms of its manufacture. And years ago, what people tended to do when they put serial numbers on firearms when they were made, it was an inventory thing. So the company would know when it was made, attributes of it. Is it a special production? Is there some attributes to it that give it some special little ink that make it like rarefied? Or is it just a standard rack item that we put out during the course of our normal production? So any way, shape, and form in which we find ourselves, we basically have made this thing, successfully and sequentially. It will be blah, 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 going down the list. So after 68 guns, how to have the serial number. This guy who took the pot shots at Trump used a quote-unquote AK-47, something along those lines. And essentially what had happened was, hang on a second. Got a cat making noise. So essentially what had happened was the serial number on that AK derivative, call it what you will, was obscured, if not removed. That is a felony. Not so much the fact that you're also taking pot shots at a former president of the United States, but that is a felony all in of its own. So Dirtbag basically is popping rounds off on the golf course where Trump was, or tried to, and got shot at by the Secret Service, and had obscured serial number on a weapon that he never should have had because, oh yeah, he was a felon. So he's now looking at a number of interesting things, get ready to hit him upside the head, and it is going to be very, very interesting. So the assassination suspect, I'm not going to name him except for simply say he looks like a total dirtbag, was convicted for possession of a weapon of mass destruction the year after 9/11. Okay, the weapon of mass destruction they're speaking of was a machine gun. So it was an unlicensed, unregistered machine gun. That is a felony, like of high level. He should have had at least 10 years in the clink for pulling that one. So the UK Independent noted, so-and-so has a criminal record dating back to at least 2002 when he was convicted in Guilford County, North Carolina, on one felony count of possession of a weapon of mass destruction, which is a machine gun in their parlance. So Breitbart News pointed out the felony stems from an incident in which he has allegedly barricaded himself and had standoff with police in 2002. The Greensboro News and Record noted that once the standoff ended, he was arrested and charged with carrying a concealed weapon and possession of weapon of mass destruction, referring to a fully automatic machine gun. So this dirtbag never should have had a firearm. What I tend to think he did was he did what's called a table sale. In other words, he probably went to some gathering where obviously people were, selling firearms. And there's stuff like that has happened in West Virginia or other rural places. People have weapons and they will sell from person to person without a transfer from the police or the federal government, which is allowed in some states. Not in my state, but in some states. Hey, that's another thing, blah, 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 blah. Here, buy this from me. Okay, let me get a record of your information just in case. You take the guy's driver's license, you write down his information. Okay, I've transferred the weapon to you. I took the cash. Have a nice day. So that probably is what happened, how he got the weapon. And the guy would not have facility to go, oh, let me check and see if you're a felon. He wouldn't have had facility to do such things. Scrolly, Trailer Skank, I call her that. Trailer Skank thinks that, Kamala Harris is just ducky. Well, you know what? She chooses crappy men and women. So I got nothing else to say about Trailer Skank, but gag. Just gag. Scrolly, this is absolutely blanking amazing on the Israeli side. And I'm going to say this very simply. Never, ever, ever F Chuck with the Israelis. Why? Well, one, they're tenacious as all hell. Two, they have no choice but to win, so they gotta KIL you. Three, they're not a bunch of stupid people. So what did they do that was completely inventive, absolutely amazing, and so off the mark that the bad guys were just like, what the crap happened here? What did they do? Well, they hacked and made pagers explode on Hezbollah. Hundreds of alleged members of Iranian-backed Hezbollah terror organization were wounded on Tuesday when their pagers, which apparently had been hacked, exploded simultaneously in Beirut and elsewhere in Lebanon. A Lebanese minister reported on Tuesday that 8 people have been killed and 2,800 injured in an apparent attack on Hezbollah members and fighters who had targeted the pagers that the organization had been using for communication. Images and videos on social media showed men with wounds in their abdomens and chests, presumably as a result of exploding pagers, which detonated at roughly the same time on Tuesday. Reports speculated that Hezbollah may have discarded the other, more sophisticated mobile devices after Israel killed Hezbollah's second-in-command, Fouad Shakur, in July. It is not clear how the pagers were hacked, and it has not been confirmed that Israel hacked them, but there is speculation that malware may have caused the device's lithium batteries to overheat and to explode. The Iranian ambassador to Lebanon was also injured in the attack. The son of Hezbollah member of the Lebanese parliament was killed. According to reports, pagers also exploded in Syria as well, where Hezbollah and Iran conduct military operations. That is how you fight combat without being in the fight directly. I told you the Israeli guys are not stupid. And unfortunately for Hezbollah, they now go, well, snap. We can't use mobile phones. We can't use pagers. Crap, what are we back down to? Landlines. Landlines are pretty easy to hack. Yeah. Well, what's next? Carrier pigeon? I don't know, man. It's going to be very, very interesting. I cannot begin to tell you just how much this stuff really makes me go, wow, you picked the wrong guys. You really picked the wrong guys. Supposedly, it's getting very, very interesting also on ABC. So ABC, Walt Disney Company executive is refusing to answer if her close relationship with Kamala Harris affected last week's ABC News presidential debate, in which moderators David Muir and Lindsay Davis showed clear and frequent bias in favor of Harris. One of them was like a sorority mate of Horizontal Harris, okay? Dana Walden, who oversees ABC News and would have been in a position to dictate how the debate was run, was on the red carpet of Sunday's Emmy Awards in Los Angeles when she was asked by Variety if she had anything to say about the controversy, which the outlet disingenuously framed as a far-right talking point. Translation, you got caught. You got caught. You got caught, okay? Quote, I really don't want to dignify it with much of a response, Walden said. I have the highest regard for everyone at ABC News. It's the most professional organization and most top-notch journalists, she added. It really doesn't dignify much of a response. Maybe because you got flat out busted and you're blanking obvious doing these things? Could that be it? Maybe. Just give me 1 second. Walden's refusal to answer comes after ABC News' Lindsay Davis recently admitted that the news organization deliberately planned to target former President Donald Trump with a live on-air fact-checking while not applying the same standard to Kamala Harris. Everybody who watched that debate saw it pointedly, obviously, that they're like, wow, that was a lie. Trump's like, okay, and my mic is off, and the other thing too is also they shut his mic off more times than I shake a stick at. They never turned hers off. Where you would have her going, well, that's that and the other thing, and Trump's in the background going, obviously he's yelling from the other side of the stage or talking on the other side of the stage, and her microphone was just good enough to pick him up. Yeah, it was pointedly obvious. They were playing with the mic switch on him and not touching hers at all, fact-checking him pointedly, not questioning a single thing that she said, except for maybe some moderate little little tuning. Not much. The clear bias against Trump led to accusations Dana Walden put her thumb on the scale to help her friend Kamala Harris. The vice president even called herself extraordinary friends with the Waldens. Dana Walden serves as the co-chairman of Disney Entertainment, where she oversees numerous TV divisions, including ABC News, ABC Entertainment. Over the years, she's donated numerous times to Kamala Harris's various political campaigns, including her 2020 presidential bid that fizzled out early in the primaries, according to a recent New York Times report. She's hosted fundraisers at her home. She reportedly donated $20,000 to support President Joe Biden and the Democrat Party. More disturbingly, Walden reportedly remains close friends with Kamala Harris and her husband, entertainment lawyer Doug Emhoff. Harris once credited Dana Walden and her husband, Matt, for her marriage during a 2022 fundraiser. Following last week's debate, Walden has been thrust into the spotlight as questions keep emerging at how the news network could have allowed the moderators to be so blatantly biased in favor of Kamala Harris. So obvious was the bias that even former Bill and Hillary Clinton advisor has publicly blasted ABC News. Yeah. This one I'm going to have to jump gears a little bit here, but supposedly this one is very, very interesting where it did happen. But Illinois, this happened. Dirty cops playing politics need to be held accountable. Now, here's the thing. You swear your allegiance to the Constitution, not a political party, not a group of guys running the town center, not a group of people that basically are in your sphere of influence in the police agencies. You swore and affirmed to defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's it. You raised your hand, you gave the oath. Your ass better live by it. Federal Judge Joe Billy McDade, wow, what a name, has refused to dismiss a lawsuit against individual police officers for willful action to deprive an Illinois man of his Second Amendment rights under 42 U.S.C. 1983. This civil rights case was filed on February 6, 2024. The plaintiff in the case is Robert K. Coleman. The attorney representing Mr. Coleman is David Segali. David Segali has considerable success in representing clients in Second Amendment cases. Translation, I think Illinois is about to get its butt handed to it. According to court documents, on July 17, 2023, Mr. Coleman's mother called him and the police about an alleged trespasser who would not leave her home. The trespasser was acting strangely. Mr. Coleman arrived at the house. He asked the intruder to leave. The intruder started to reach into a bag. Mr. Coleman drew his pistol and held the intruder for police. The incident occurred in Normal, Illinois, and it ain't normal there, apparently. Police arrived and searched the intruder. Asked for and received Mr. Coleman's handgun, would then return it to him. They transported the intruder to a facility for mental evaluation. They did not arrest, charge Mr. Coleman. That's important. Later, one of the police officers, Officer Nicholas Hines, and his supervisor, Officer Serena Cunningham, filed a report to the Illinois State Police contending Mr. Coleman was a, quote, clear and present danger, end quote, to himself and others. Mr. Coleman had his firearms owner's identification card, or the FOIC, and his concealed carry license revoked. Mr. Coleman claims the report included significant and deliberate factual errors resulting in the loss of his Second Amendment rights. The state of Illinois attempted to grant legal immunity to the law enforcement as they're required to report on gun owners. The immunity was to make false claims in the Firearms Owners Identification Act, applied several different occupations, as listed below, from order and opinion. So establishes this, that, and the other thing, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, so the judge refused to dismiss the case, and it may now go forward with discovery, as nearly all the facts claimed by the plaintiffs, it should be a matter of public record. Mr. Coleman has a good chance of prevailing. It helps to have a skilled attorney such as David Scully, who has considerable experience and success in Second Amendment lawsuits. So these guys lied to screw this guy over and take away his Second Amendment rights. Speaking of somebody else who's screwing around and trying to take away your Second Amendment rights, I was a member years ago of the NRA. As a matter of fact, I was receiving mail from them, constantly bugging me, all this other fun stuff, pay for the legal defense fund, all the rest of this fun stuff. And I did at some point. And it got to the point where I was just getting begged on too much. And I said, you know what? Stop asking me. I'm not going to send you all any money. Stop screwing me. Stop sending me all these begograms. Not doing it. So then I saw how much they really, truly did not defend the Second Amendment rights, and I stopped being a member. Then I told them in no uncertain terms, stop sending me your membership application mailers. As a matter of fact, I think I've received one a couple of years back. I told them again, knock it off. I'm not doing it. So anyway, I blame, of all people, Wayne LaPierre for the decline of this once great organization. The recent 2024 NRA board meeting in Texas turned out to be a marathon session with heated debates behind closed doors discussions, left many wondering what direction the organization is heading. Stephen Gutowski of The Reload attended the meeting and provided a detailed report on major developments. One of the key outcomes of the meeting was the adoption of a reform plan, though much of the specifics remain under wraps. Translation, they're trying to keep playing games, trying to keep making money, and not do jack squat in the process. They are trying to maintain the same crap they didn't do when LaPierre was driving the bus and not doing a bloody damn thing for your firearms rights, except cozying up to guys in politics. For the longest time, the NRA has been a toothless, gutless pile of crap. The JPFO, or the Jews for the Prevention of Firearms Rights, the National Association of Gun Rights, or the NAGR, or the GOA, which is the Gun Owners of America, more than charitably kick the tail of the NRA all over the place when it comes to simply saying, look, no more Thor's hammer. We will take it to court, we will fight this out, and we will beat this bad legislation every trip of the train, which is where we got Brunner, this is where we got Heller, all these good pieces of finding a fact, all these good pieces of legal precept are now being knocked down, simply stating they are unlawful, they do not follow the Constitution. Second Amendment rights are an absolute. It's not hard to understand. You know, the right to keep and bear arms shall be, you read the Second Amendment, it says it most expressly, clearly. You know, right to that, the head of the militia, the rights to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I mean, come on, shall not be infringed. That is not a hard concept to understand. Not like, well, at the time, they were using black powder guns. They only shot once for every 55 minutes, and they were only used for like hunting. Did you ever hear about the Revolutionary War? Well, they were using black powder guns, and they were dude, they were high technology for the time. That was the AR-15 of the 15, 16, 1700s, okay? They only got repeating weapons later when the technology evolved. Also notice, everybody else had the same stuff as the U.S. military. Oh, yeah. You look back at the good old days when they had, the good old West where they were doing the Indian Wars. The Indians also had lever guns as well as the guys in the cavalry, okay? Know your American history. So key outcomes of the meeting was the adoption reform plan, this and the other thing. NRA's response to civil trial facing in New York, where corruption allegations have plagued the organization. Need I say, Wayne LaPierre has got a very interesting history of being more than just slightly corruptible. Yeah. So anyway, it's just bad, man. LaPierre is doing this, that, and the other thing. There's numerous lawsuits. If the NRA becomes bankrupt, I would want to see a new organization risen on the previous to say, you know what? That's those guys. We're not the same group of people. Those guys are now a distinct and separate organization. We are now the new NRA, or we're now the NRA 2.0. Something maybe not paying full homage, but simply saying we're not those guys, okay? We are a new, completely different, stripped down organization, ready to kick ass, take names, and ensure firearms rights are ensured, enshrined, and followed in our nation. That's how you fix this problem. So, good stuff like that there, and hopefully these guys really, truly lose their butts in the process of trying to play these stupid games. NRA, man, oh, wow. I'm not going to give any credence to the butthole that took the swipe at Trump on the golf course, but let's just say there's a lot of hiding places on the golf course. Even the Secret Service knows there's a lot of bad places for anybody to pop up on a golf course. They did warn Trump, and he's like, yeah, that's nice, but I like golfing there, so that's what I'm going to do. I want to go golfing. Oh, okay, so we're like not even quite 10 minutes after, but I do hear the music, which means it is time to bail out, do that good stuff like you all do on your own. I do on my own. So I'm going to rock and roll this one. Truly appreciate your kind attention. You guys hanging out with me. Get a gold star for attendance. I thank you so much for hanging out with me on a Tuesday, and I got many other things to do, but you guys hung out with me. I thank you so much for your time. I will see you next week, unless I put out something sooner. I don't know. I got ideas for knife vids and stuff. But good stuff like that there. All right, I'm going to break up this one. So, Eco Captain Rings, always, you love it. I will see you guys next time, and I'll thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will see you then. Catch you guys later, and have a good one. See ya.